kid, I used to be like, people like that are dirty. Like, you know, because that's what I would hear. I didn't know anything about STDs, so I'd just go off what other people told me. And then I had to learn for myself that we're not really dirty. From Thanksgiving to around Christmas is how it started to escalate. Like at first it was the cold, and then around Christmas time it went from the cold to the flu to my legs were swollen. If I went to go to sleep, I had to sit up. Like the way I'm sitting up right now is how I slept. And I couldn't eat. I don't know how many pounds I lost. And then my dad, we went, I think for Christmas, to my dad's girlfriend's house. It was a couple days before Christmas. And she looked at me and she's like, oh yeah, she needs to go to the hospital. We're gonna, not the hospital, the doctors. I'm gonna make an appointment with my son's doctor, and then we'll take her. He looks at me, like he just takes one good look at me, and he does like the whole vitals, you know, like doctors are supposed to. And he's like, yeah, her lungs sound really filled. And then he looked at my legs and he was like, your daughter's heart is failing. Like that's just plain simply how he said it, your daughter's heart is failing. I don't remember anything after that. I remember getting in the ambulance and them putting the mask on me and then waking up in the hospital. They had 4 tubes like right here, and it was sucking out the pneumonia from out of my lungs because it was infected fluid. Like the fluid that was coming out was green, it was gross. And now I'm wondering like, okay, what's going on? Pneumonia was around my heart and everything, so I'm like, okay, maybe I have like a heart disease or something, maybe. I got out in January out of the hospital, and then they had my follow-up 2 weeks later, which was in February. And like I'm looking around the office and I'm like, okay, I see all these different things about STDs and stuff. So now I'm like, yeah, what's going on? They're like, okay, well, you know that you're HIV positive, right? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You know, like in my head, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what do you mean I'm HIV positive? Like, I'm thinking I got a heart condition, you know? I denied treatment at first because I don't like taking medicine. It's the worst thing in the world. And then to know that you have to take medicine every day for the rest of your life. And it's like a constant reminder. Every time you grab the pill, it's like, you have to take this and you have to deal with it. And so me, I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with that. That's not fair. So I just started getting like really angry, and I stopped going to my doctor's appointments. They kept trying to get me to go. I wouldn't go. I stopped going to school and everything. Like, I was so upset. The first thing I noticed is that my old laptop is missing. I used to make music on there. So that broke my heart, and when I noticed that, that's when I started looking around and I saw that everything was missing. I called my sister first, and I was like, don't tell mommy. Being a sister and make sure we're okay, she calls, and then my mom calls my dad, and then my dad calls me, and he's like, the cops are on their way. He was like, figure something out. And so he was like, if it wasn't for you and your friends, we still have all our stuff and everything. And so, like, I left. Me and my friend, we left. For the first couple of days, we were staying in abandoned apartments because she didn't want to leave me. She could go home. I didn't have any place to go because I don't really have family down here. So she calls this girl and gets her mom to let me stay with them. At first, it was good, you know. I thought I made a new best friend, you know. We were going everywhere together, doing everything together, go to movies together, hang out together, you know, just what friends do. The girl who got me to stay there with her calls her, like her friends were over. It was like a good 6, 7 people besides me and her. And she calls her and she's like, I just want to tell you that Deshaun is HIV positive, so be careful. Don't have her too close to you because you don't want to catch it too. And everybody just stopped and they all looked at me. They're like, you're HIV positive? What the? Like, they just start going crazy. And so the girl goes and tells her mom. I went from sleeping in her bed to sleeping on her floor. If I decided to take a bath or something, I had to bleach out the tub and bleach off the toilet every time I use it. I only stayed a week after that because I don't like feeling like I'm not welcome somewhere and like I'm treated differently. I hate feeling like I'm treated differently. I already know I'm different. I don't need anybody to tell me and show me that I am, you know? And I called up a friend of mine. We had problems at that time, but she still came through. She came and got me. And I left and went and stayed with her for the remainder of the time before my dad let me back in the house. I remember one day I was at my godmom's house and I get on Facebook and I'm scrolling down the timeline and I see Dejana King. It says, I know this girl who's going around giving out AIDS. She's an ugly ASS hoe and she needs to be stopped. So many likes and so many comments. It was people saying I needed to be murdered, people saying that I should kill myself, people saying that they're gonna come find me and kill me. So I go to school that Monday and I have people looking at me funny. I have people coming up to me, "Are you Dejana? I heard you have AIDS." Well, I can't do this. I can't. Like, I'm already getting it at school. I'm already getting it online. So I just dropped out of school completely. Since everybody seems like I'm a problem, and I already feel like I'm a problem with the world, I already got all these people telling me I am, so why not just delete a problem out the world, you know? I grabbed these pills that I had. I don't even remember what type of pills they were. They might have been pain pills or antibiotics. I don't know, but they were pills, and there was a whole bunch of them, and I grabbed them, and I had them in my hand. And I was like, "Daddy, I'm about to take these." And as I'm going to take the pills, I hear a knock on the door, and it's the cops. I went to a psych ward there for a while, for like 2 weeks. I was 17 and like everybody else in there is like 30 and older. I had saw the Serenity prayer on the wall. I had never seen that prayer a day in my life until that day. And when I saw it, I really read it and I was like, wow. Because it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The moment I read that prayer is when I felt it inside of me that I had to do something. Like, God gave me all of this for a reason. And then I get out and I'm like, I gotta do something. So I go enroll I enrolled myself back into school. And so when I went back to school, I had my head on straight. I was like, I'm not gonna let nobody mess with me. I was like, if I had to, I would invest in some headphones and ignore the world, but I'm not about to let nobody knock me off my grind. Like, and I can't help other people if I can't help myself. It was the best feeling ever, walking across that stage and knowing that all those people who told me that I shouldn't be living, and all those people who told me that I wasn't gonna be anything, and all those people who told me that I was a nobody, I proved them wrong at that very moment when my principal handed me my diploma in my hand and I shook it. It was the best. Like, it felt like so much weight was off my chest. The whole idea of being a motivational speaker came to me and was like, you have a story to tell it. And I feel once I figured out motivational speaking, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like when I talk about it, I can feel it in my heart every time. That's just me.
I think here in this city, this beautiful, thriving metropolitan city, we can absolutely have zero infections, zero discrimination, and zero deaths.
So it's not just advocacy, but we need engagement and involvement. Your stories are great, but your stories can have a whole lot more of an impact if you're inside the room where the decisions are made and the monies are appropriated. So congratulations on this event. Congratulations on this forum. I commend everybody who was a part of this planning effort. But brothers and sisters, let's roll up our sleeves and go to work.
I didn't know that I was HIV positive until I was 15, and I almost died from pneumonia. So HIV is very important, whether no matter what anybody says, because there's a lot of things that you go through being HIV positive. You go through bullying, you go through different types of attacks, you go through heartbreak. You feel like your world is just over the minute you find out But the best part about knowing that you're HIV positive is that you're different. You're different in a good way, though. Not a bad way. And I feel like if I wasn't HIV positive, my world would have been just like